Hello, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to show you another Bulgarian recipe. That's the recipe for fried meatballs. These are the meatballs, and yeah, I made them two different styles. I made some of them the traditional way, just fried them with some oil in a pan, and some of them I fried in my air fryer. I'm going to show you both of the options and the differences. And also don't forget, if you like my channel, please subscribe so you can see more of my content. This is the end result. In one of the plates we have the meatballs from the air fryer, and in the another plate we have the meatballs that I fried just the regular style with some oil in a pan. The recipe is 18 ounces of ground meat, 1 medium egg, 4 slices of bread, 1 onion, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of yogurt, some fresh parsley, flour, optionally some breadcrumbs as well, cup of milk or water, and some salt, black pepper, red pepper, savory, garlic powder, anything else that you like to add. The first step is drying the bread. You're going to place the bread like that, not touching on a pan for a day, and then you're gonna flip it over and gonna leave it for one more day at least. And once when it's dry, you're going to just cut the ends, just the darker side of the crumbs, so you can have only the middles of the bread, and you're going to set it aside. It took it 3 days for me to dry this bread because I feel it had a lot of I don't know, a lot of additional ingredients, so it's kind of fake bread, or I don't know exactly how to tell it, but it takes it so much longer to dry. But for 3 days it was nice and dry. Then you're going to put the dry bread in a bowl or a big plate, and you're going to add the milk or water. You're going to let it soak for like couple minutes, 3-5 minutes, something like that. And yeah, here you can see how I leave it. I'm just gonna flip it over to make sure that it's all covered with the liquid, and I'm gonna just set it aside. I usually use milk when I have some milk in the fridge, but if you don't have milk, the water will be just fine. My mom makes them actually with water all the time, so milk, water, whichever you prefer, is going to work good for the bread. Make sure you don't crumble it too much at this stage, so it's not too hard to take after, but it's gonna be fine, don't worry if it breaks a little bit, it's normal. Then for the onion, I'm going to put the onion in some cold water, and I'm going to put some ice cubes in it before I cut it, and I'm gonna set it aside for like 10 to 30 minutes. That way I'm not going to cry so much when I cut the onion. It actually helps. I read that somewhere, don't even remember where, and I tried it and I was so surprised that it works so good. And after that I'm just gonna peel the onion and I'm going to slice it. As you can see, this onion is pretty large, so I'm not gonna use all of it. I'm only gonna cut half of it, and at the end I didn't even use the half, I only used like 1/3 of the onion or something like that. No matter how much onion you're going to end up using, make sure that you slice it on very tiny pieces. You don't want to have some big chunks in your meatballs. And also, a lot of people don't like onion, like raw onion. For example, Matt, he likes onion rings, he loves onion rings, but he cannot eat onion if it's raw and crunchy. So in the traditional recipe, people just slice the onion and put it in the meatball mixture just as it is. But for Matt, I like to cook the onion so you don't end up with any kind of chunky and crunchy pieces. Everything is going to be soft and caramelized, and is not going to have this strong smell and flavor of onion. So I'm going to cook the onion for him until it's a little bit caramelized, not too much, but just a little bit golden brownish. And I'm going to put that cooked onion in the mixture. So for the next part, this is the meat. I'm going to flavor the meat. Ideally, you would like to use 60% of pork and 40% of beef ground meat. Of course, if you don't have one of them, you can substitute, you can use a little different percentages, more of this, less of that kind of meat, or like all beef, all pork. You can do that, but preferably you want to use a mixture of beef and pork. And then I'm going to add the flavoring to the meat. I'm going to use some salt, black pepper, red pepper, savory, some onion powder. If you like to make them spicy, you can put some spicy ingredients. If you like to add something else, just put whatever you like, but try to keep these ingredients there as well. That's gonna give you the traditional flavor. And after that, just make sure that you mix very good this meat with the flavors so it can be nice. You don't want to have a chunk of salt in one piece of meatball and another one to be tasteless. A lot of people, if you have time, like to do that when you mix the meat with the salt, pepper and the other flavorings. They're going to just leave it for overnight in the fridge. So for example, when you start drying your bread, if you already have the meat in the fridge anyway, you're going to mix it with all these stuffs and you're going to let it in the fridge until you decide to make the meatballs. That way it's going to have some more flavor in the meat. But if you don't have time, it's not crucial to make it the same day. Then I'm going to tear the parsley with my hands and I'm going to show you a picture from the store. These are the two types of parsley that they had, the regular and the Italian. I use the Italian because it's the parsley that we use at home. It has bigger leaves and it's the one that I always have been used for meatballs. I'm going to add the parsley to the mixture and also I'm going to add the onions and the bread. When adding the bread, make sure you squeeze it nice so you don't end up with liquidy mixture. If you end up with some more liquid that you want to have, just add some flour or breadcrumbs to the meatball mixture and that's going to make it better to form the meatballs. If you don't have the nice texture, your meatballs are going to be falling apart when you're frying them. Next, I'm going to make something that is going to make the meatballs fluffy. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda to 1 tablespoon of yogurt and I'm going to mix them together to activate the baking soda. That's a very important step. If you don't have yogurt, just use some apple cider vinegar. After I mix it nice enough to activate the soda, I'm going to add 1 egg to the mixture. Just use a medium egg, not too large, so you don't have again some liquid mixture for the meatballs. You're going to stir it again and you're going to pour that into the meat. Then you're going to mix again, and as I told you, if the consistency is not good to form some nice balls, just add some breadcrumbs or a little bit extra flour so you don't end up with some meatballs that are falling apart and tearing when you try to fry them. You're going to mix very nice again. Make sure you take your time mixing it good so you don't have some more egg or some more anything in the one meatball and less ingredients in the another one. When you mix them nice, you're just going to cover them with some flour. You're going to put some flour in another plate, and when you have the right mixture for the meatballs, you're going to grab a bowl with the size of a medium egg and you're going to put it in the flour. You're going to roll it out very nice and you're going to put it in a separate plate to be ready to be fried. Make sure you don't stack the ready meatballs on top of each other, because if you do that, when you try to grab them and put them into the fryer or into the pan, they're going to be misshapen and they may just stick together, so you have to redo that step. And you're almost there. Pretty much after you do all your meatballs with the flour, you just have to fry them or bake them or put them in the air fryer. I'm going to give you a little bit more instruction on that. So I usually fry them, that's a traditional way to do them, just fry them in the pan. But since I get my air fryer, I like to fry them in it, and that way they're going to be more healthy. Before I get my air fryer, I also sometimes used to bake them. I just bake them in the oven, cover with some oil and flip them halfway through the cooking and put some more oil and bake it again. So that also worked, whichever way you prefer, but the regular traditional ones are fried with oil. If you're going to make them in your air fryer, make sure you don't stack them too close to each other and you're going to air fry them. I first put them for 20 minutes, but the next batch, when the air fryer was already preheated, they were ready after like 15 minutes or so. So make sure you check them when cooking. These are the other ones that I cook in some oil. Make sure you don't make them on too high temperature, because if you do them on too high, they're going to be super ready on the outside but raw in the inside. Just make them on the medium heat and they're going to be just fine, and you're going to flip them halfway through. You can cut one of them to make sure that it's cooked inside. Once when I'm done with this one, I'm just going to put them on some kitchen towel to remove the excess grease. And these are the two batches. Can you guess which one is from the air fryer and which one is fried regularly? They look pretty similar to me. This is the inside for the first one and I'm going to show you after that the inside of the another one. Matt couldn't tell the difference between the two batches, so I think that means that pretty much you can replace the frying for some air fryer if you want to make them healthier. I'm going to put which one is which on the desktop so you make sure to see the difference if you want. You can see the air fryer and regular fried are almost the same. The meatballs are ready. Thank you for watching my video. Here is my koala, which I use just to focus my camera, but he's so cute, I'm gonna leave it here. So thank you for watching my video and have a great day.